Welcome back to World Information HD, the channel where we explore fascinating stories behind coins, currency, and treasures that could be hiding right in your pocket. Today, we're going to dive deep into a coin that many collectors overlook, yet it holds a tremendous amount of historical significance and surprising value. We're talking about the United States of America 1945 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny. By the end of this video, you'll not only know the history of this coin but also the factors that make it so collectible, and what to look for if you happen to stumble upon one. The Lincoln wheat penny is one of the most iconic coins in American history. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, this penny quickly became a staple of American coinage. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than an abstract symbol of liberty. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin featured Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and a pair of wheat stalks framing the denomination on the reverse. This design would last until 1958, making wheat pennies an important collectible series that tells the story of mid-20th century America. Now, the year 1945 stands out for several reasons. World War II had just come to an end, and the United States was transitioning from wartime production back to peacetime. Coinage during this period reflected both the needs of the economy and the availability of metals. Just a few years earlier, in 1943, pennies were famously struck in steel coated with zinc to save copper for the war effort. By 1944, copper returned to the penny, but not without some quirks and errors. The 1945 penny continued this tradition, and while most were struck in ordinary bronze, their place in history makes them fascinating. When we talk about a 1945 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, what we mean is a coin that was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike Denver or San Francisco, Philadelphia did not place a mint mark on its coins during that time. This absence of a mint mark can confuse new collectors, but in reality, it's simply a standard sign that the coin came from Philadelphia. More than 1 billion pennies were struck that year, which means that finding one isn't too difficult. However, what makes this coin special is not just its basic existence, but the condition it's in, the rarity of specific varieties, and the historical charm that adds to its appeal. Let's take a closer look at the design. On the front, or obverse, you'll see Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above him is the motto, "In God We Trust," while the word, "Liberty," rests to the left and the year 1945 is inscribed to the right. If you look carefully at some coins, you may notice variations in the way the numbers are shaped. These can indicate die varieties, which are small differences created during the minting process. Some of these varieties are highly collectible. The reverse of the coin shows the classic wheat ears on each side, surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above that sits the Latin phrase, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one. It's a simple yet powerful design, one that many collectors still admire today. Condition plays a massive role in determining the value of any coin, and this is especially true with the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny. Circulated examples, the kind that passed through the hands of ordinary Americans during the post-war years, are usually worth just a few cents. They're common enough that millions of people may still have them tucked away in jars or boxes. However, when you find one in mint state condition, that is, a coin that looks nearly as fresh as the day it was struck, the story changes dramatically. Coins with sharp details, bright luster, and no noticeable wear can command significant prices among collectors. One fascinating aspect of the 1945 penny is the number of errors and varieties that exist. Errors are mistakes that happen during the minting process, and they can make coins far more valuable than their standard counterparts. Some 1945 pennies exhibit doubled dies, where the design elements look like they've been struck twice. Others may have off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or repunched mint marks on versions from Denver or San Francisco. While the no mint mark Philadelphia issue doesn't have repunched mint marks, it does have its share of doubled die obverse and other anomalies. If you happen to find one of these varieties, you could be holding a piece worth far more than an ordinary penny. Collectors also pay attention to grading scales, such as those established by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC. A 1945 penny graded at the highest levels, such as Mint State 67 or Mint State 68, is extremely scarce. Out of the millions minted, very few survive in such pristine condition. These top-graded coins can reach extraordinary values at auctions, especially if they also have desirable color designations. Lincoln wheat pennies often develop tones of red-brown, or a mix called red-brown. Full red examples, with their original fiery copper color intact, are the most coveted. Beyond value, let's take a moment to consider the human story behind this coin. Imagine the people who used the 1945 penny in their daily lives. Soldiers returning home from overseas might have carried them in their pockets. Families buying groceries, children purchasing candy, and workers collecting wages all relied on coins like these. In a way, the 1945 penny is a snapshot of American resilience during a time of change. Each coin is a tiny piece of history, bridging the past with the present. For collectors today, the 1945 no-mint mark penny offers a chance to own a relic of that era. While millions exist, the thrill comes from hunting down the best examples, spotting rare varieties, and understanding the story behind each piece. Collecting isn't just about monetary value, it's about preserving history, appreciating artistry, and enjoying the chase. Still, it's hard to ignore the fact that certain specimens of this coin have reached impressive price tags. So how do you know if your 1945 penny is valuable? Start by examining its condition. If it's heavily worn, it may be worth only face value. But if it looks clean, sharp, and lustrous, it could be worth much more. Next, check for errors. Use a magnifying glass to look for doubled lettering, off-center designs, or unusual marks. Finally, consider professional grading if you believe your coin is exceptional. Having a coin graded by PCGS or NGC can authenticate its quality and make it easier to sell for a premium. The coin market is always changing, influenced by collector demand, availability, and even the stories told about these coins. Auction results show us that when a top-quality 1945 Lincoln wheat penny goes under the hammer, competition can be fierce. Collectors understand that while common examples are abundant, the finest examples are rare treasures worth pursuing. It's fascinating to think that a single cent, struck in 1945 during the closing days of World War II, could be worth far more than its humble denomination. For most people, a penny is something they might ignore on the sidewalk, yet in the world of numismatics, every coin tells a unique story. That's the beauty of collecting. It teaches us to pay attention, to appreciate detail, and to value history in the palm of our hands. If you have a 1945 no-mint mark penny, take a closer look. It might just be an ordinary coin, or it could be something extraordinary. Either way, you're holding a link to a pivotal year in American history. Coins like this remind us that even the smallest objects can carry great significance, both in memory and in value. And here comes the part that many of you have been waiting for, the answer to the big question: just how much can one of these coins be worth? While common examples in circulated condition may be worth only a few cents, some rare high-grade examples with exceptional qualities have sold at auction for jaw-dropping amounts. The most valuable 1945 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny ever recorded reached an astonishing $37,778.